After you take a very detailed photo of your eye, you can start with the outlines. I always start with the outlines because then you don't have the problems with the proposition of your picture afterwards. So start with the edge of the eye next to the nose and continue drawing it to the outlines. So now, as you can see, I added the iris and the pupil, and also a little highlight, and yeah, you should draw the pupil as dark as possible. I used a charcoal for this, and after this, blending it in. Then you start with make the iris darker. I first use a HB pencil for it and make it all around the pupil, and also shade it, blend it in afterwards. Then I use a 5B pencil and makes a little bit darker because it's there where the highlight is above the pupil is almost darker than under the pupil, because there is the shadow of the eyelashes and so on. And also blend it with your other things. Then make it darker all the time. Here I'm using a 7B pencil. And now make the shadow of the pupil. That's important, then it doesn't look so, well, it looks more than 3D than like 2D. And it should look very realistic, and 3D is realistic, so make this shadow of the pupil. And also blend it in, always blending. Here I'm making it more darker with my charcoal pencil. I use the charcoal for the pupil too. And around the highlight it should be very dark, because then the highlight looks more white. So the very outline of the iris is darker than the space between the pupil and the outline of the iris, so make it darker too. And now you can start with those lines you have in your eye. And erase some highlights with the eraser. I've got this wonderful eraser pen. There you can make very sharp lines and be very detailed. So now you start with drawing all those details. You don't have to draw so much details as I do. You will see I'm drawing lots of details. But you always make it the same way. You erase a highlight and line it with a darker pencil, so that the white lines stand out, as you can see here, for example. And always see that you have the shadow of the pupil and the darker outside of the iris. The space between the pupil and the outline should be lighter than the other parts. If you have very white parts, you can draw with a white charcoal pencil, as I do it right here. So now here I'm preparing another highlight, an indirect highlight I should say. You will see what it is after. So now the same steps as before, prepare the highlight, but see that you don't draw just straight lines. They should be, well, like waves or something like that, not straight all the time, because if you take a very detailed look at your eye, you see that they are very well, they are not straight. And now again, line the white highlights with the pencil. You need a very sharp pencil for the small lines, of course. So now going on like this all the time, erasing and drawing those lines that are not straight. And if you have something you don't like, you draw before, you can always erase it, of course, as I do it here, like as you see. So I always draw from the left to the right side, because I draw with the right hand. As you can see, just leaving out this space for another highlight, or it's such an indirect highlight, I don't know how to say it, you'll see it. Once more, you don't have to draw so much details as I do. You have to, that took a lot of time, of course. So if you draw the eye, or if you have a very detailed look at an eye, you'll see that there are such dark points or something like that in it, so parts between the white lines there, and such dark places are very important to make your eye realistic. So even if you don't draw so much details, you really should draw one of those black parts of the eye, the space between the white ones. So now I'm erasing such white points and the dark part of the eye. You can do that too, but you don't have to. Maybe that looks very nice. Now you can see that I'm almost finished with the structure of the iris. They're just missing this little part there. It's just the same thing you did before, but now I'm just changing the structure a little bit from those straight lines to like more points, like as you can see. That makes the iris look more interesting, and so they're just erasing such a point, white point, outlining it. So now we are almost finished with the iris. You just have to make some of these highlights into the dark space of the iris, and almost line it with pencil. So there I've made another highlight. It's going to be for the eyelashes, but now I'm going to fill in the space of 3. So you just continue to draw the structures you prepared, but not so dark as you did before. As you can see, it's all a little bit lighter than the space above from this indirect highlight. There I'm making some space for the eyelashes. I'll now draw the eyelashes into the highlight. It's just reflections, of course. Make them darker with 5B, 7B, or what you have for dark pencils. Fill the other highlight with eyelashes too. And then you're ready with your iris.